I am Ray, and this knowledge was banned for a reason. Because once you see, you will not be controlled anymore, and you will become the master of your reality. Well, you see, it all has to do with identity. Now let's say I was some kind of evil reptilian trying to control those cheeks. What would I do? First of all, I would get you to believe that you are less than you are. Because all I gotta do is enslave you to your survival instinct, and you're mine, Big Daddy. And that's how most people are enslaved. There's like two ways that you gotta watch out. Oh no, the bee has fallen. There's your survival instinct and there's your sexual instinct. Most people just get pulled down by these two things, if not the first one, the second one. And that is why they stay stuck their whole life, never creating a life they desire. A slave to their animal instincts, and that is why they make fun of us. Hello. The evil elites look at us like animals, because a lot of people are like animals. Sorry. That's just kind of how it goes sometimes. Imagine you were born with this power within you to create universes, and you spend it surviving and thriving. Wink, wink. And how disgraceful is that? When you could have been born a pig, Mr. or Mrs. Piggy, and could have been used for some tasty bacon. Some people would have been better off as Bacon. Not Kevin Bacon. He's a good actor, I think. And it's not necessarily that I think that people should be treated like animals. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that some people do think of us like animals. And they just so happen to be the ones controlling our cheeks. The thing about, for example, the age we're living in. We're living in the age of information, where ignorance is a choice. And they're still choosing ignorance, to quote Filthy Frank. And why do we do this? I don't know. Because we have no higher purpose. Probably because we've been set up for failure, but not anymore. Now that you're here, there are no excuses. Oh no, they have poisoned me in my coffee. I forgot to mention I am immune to poison. Not immune to caffeine though. Your identity determines everything about your life. It determines where you go. It determines where you point your mind. And this is the whole deal. Your energy is your creative power. It's your creative God power, actually. Energy. Energy. Like it. And your mind is a tool that directs the energy. So wherever you point your mind, that is what you create. That is what you give your power to. That is what you give your life to. Because energy is the force of life. It's the power within you. It's the creative force. So the entire quality of the life that you create for yourself is determined exactly by the things you focus on. And if you reflect upon your life, you will see that the reason things are the way they are right now is because of the things we've been focusing on for the past days and weeks and months and years. And if we just focused on different things, life would get better. But in order for life to get better and for us to focus on different things, we have to change who we are. I mean, think about it. If you're someone who has an identity around going to the gym, it takes no effort to go to the gym. You're just doing it because that's who you are. So your mind is naturally focused in that direction. You're creating health and all the good things that come along with going to the gym. And yet, if you have an identity around eating Cheetos and doing nothing all day, playing video games, well, going to the gym is going to be very difficult because it's not in alignment with your identity. But eating Cheetos is, so diabetes for you, because that's all you're focusing on. You're focusing on the wrong things. Your identity causes you to focus on things by default, so it doesn't take any effort to do those things. Like David Goggins, for example. People look at David Goggins and wonder, well, how is he so good at what he does? How does he do these things? These impossible feats? Well, let me tell you, I know a lot about feet. But that's beside the point. David Goggins has an identity around doing hard things. So even though physically and mentally it's tough, he's equipped to do it because that is his identity. And he changed his identity from being a loser to being the best. Now, maybe he took it too far. I don't know. But the fact is, it would be harder for him to take a day off than go run 100 miles. Probably. Because that's who he is. And you can be whoever you want to be. You're not bound by anything except your own limitations. And that is the whole thing. Think about survival for a moment. Why do we settle in a job we hate? Because if we don't, we're going to be homeless. And that's worse than settling for the job. The pain of being homeless is worse. So we're afraid. Our survival instincts are hijacking our attention and saying, well, look, you got to do this. Because if you don't, you're going to die. But this is not true. Because you don't have to live like an animal anymore. For thousands of years, we've had to do this because we didn't understand our power. We didn't have access to YouTube and this knowledge. This was available only to the secret societies of the world. And now you get it for free on YouTube. And I'm not even the only one who teaches stuff like this. And yet, we seem to be more ignorant than ever. Why? Because it's too easy. That's why they kept this knowledge from you. Because people don't appreciate that which they don't earn. If it's just freely given to you, you don't care. You're like, oh yeah, I heard that before. Next, scroll. Swipe, swipe, swipe. And guess what? The moment you settle for a job you don't like, now your whole day is taken up. And then you just get swept along by life. Stop thinking about it. I'm comfortable enough. 10 years later, I'm still in the same situation. Why am I here? This is a dead-end job. I don't want to be a manager at McDonald's. We sacrifice our dreams on the altar of practicality because of this survival instinct. It says, well, settle for the first thing that comes along, which leads us to this one as well. We're so in lack and scarcity, so desperate for crumbs, that we settle for the first thing that comes along. Not realizing that if we change who we are and actually improve our life and actually go for it, take a risk, that you could experience the best of everything, the best that life has to offer. And you never had to settle in the first place. But that's the deal that you are given in this life. You can settle for whatever. You don't have to go slay those dragons. You can stay home where it's nice and warm by the fire, and your mom's cooking you breakfast, and lunch, and dinner, and you never leave the house at all. And you'll wake up one day 40 years old with nothing. Or you can leave the house, go on an adventure, go slay some dragons, gain some XP, for God's sake, level up, and experience the true riches that life has to offer. But think about it. Going to slay a dragon is risky. So the survival instinct comes along and says, well, no, that's dangerous. Don't do that. Play video games instead. Slay those dragons on the video games. Don't go outside. There's bad things outside. Be safe. And we listen to that voice and say, okay, well, we settle for fantasies of actual reality because we can't experience the actual reality. It's substitute for actually living. But the only reason we're in that spot is because we don't ever take the leap and actually go and live our life. Unless you have a vision for your life, your days will be filled with monotonous tasks and temporary pleasures. Because life is going to express itself through you regardless. And you need higher things to focus on so that the life in you creates a better life, a better reality. And it all comes down to who you are. Like, for example, because I have high self-esteem, it's not possible for me to settle in an environment that's not the best. And even if it is the best, there's still something in me that says, well, there could be more. Why not strive for more? And that's why people like me are the most successful, because we don't stop. We're never content with whatever life presents to us. Now, I'm a bit of a different case because at the same time, I accept reality and I'm just grateful for everything. But still, most people get comfortable at these different stages. Like, I'm making this amount of money, now I'm comfortable, now I can coast and relax for a long time. But for people like me, and perhaps people like you, maybe, doesn't mean we can't accept the present moment. But we're always striving for greatness, for more, for the stars. Because, well, what else is there to do? Survive and perpetuate the species? It's just temporary pleasures. And it is the masculine drive that takes us toward excellence and greatness. And so the secret is these different identities that we may have determine the quality of what we focus on and the quality of our life, and only the super elites understand their true power. But even them, they don't have the full picture. So you have the different spectrum of human beings. So at the very bottom, there's the monkeys. We're all monkeys, okay? Don't be mean. What I mean is that it's people who are so identified with their animal nature that they're just a slave to it and they have no hope of living anything greater. Then you have the man, someone living from ego, which is a little bit higher consciousness, but not that much. A higher awareness being, but still a slave. Then the next, you could say, there's people who are identified with their mind, and they think of themselves as gods because their mind is powerful, and maybe they have access to secret knowledge. They feel like, yes, I'm better than everyone else. Look at all you slaves. Cattle for my... whatever they do with cattle. Eat steaks. And this is the level where people try to control the world. Because they think, well, I'm better than everyone else. They are irresponsible. I have to be the one to control them because if I just let them be free, then they might destroy the world. I don't know. But I'm not going to take that risk. I'm going to enslave them so they be mine. So I be in control. Good. But even they fall short. Like Napoleon. He was very short. So I've heard. Never met the guy, but I digress. But then you come around and you come to the highest realization that you can come to. And that is, you realize that there is only God and that we do not actually exist as separate entities. And once you realize this, you begin living in the God state. Now, for example, someone living in the God state might be, Jesus. Ever heard of him? He wasn't obsessed with himself as a god and saying, oh, look at me, I'm the best, I'm better than you. He recognized his divine nature and led people toward the same thing. Jesus never said, hey, look at me, I'm the best, follow me, Jesus the man. Jesus was saying, no, look within you, find the divine in you, and you will find me, the Christ. Hello. And so that is your true nature. You are the Christ already. You are the divine essence of God. All of these things are just parts of you, like your hand is a part of you. But you would not say, I am my hand, would you? I don't know, maybe some of you would. And the difference of this state is that there is no deep pride and selfishness. Because when the mind is in control, believing it's a god, it can do a lot of damage in the world and a lot of harm to the people around them. But one can only realize the God state through surrender, surrendering the mind. Therefore, there cannot be great pride, fundamentally. Now, when you realize God, it doesn't mean your mind suddenly just blows up. It means you're no longer identified with your mind, or your body, or your ego, or your personality. And therefore you are no longer a slave to them. And by consequence, you are a slave to nothing. Eventually, not even a slave to the laws of the universe, which is why someone like Jesus can perform miracles, stop the weather, heal somebody of some permanent disease. And the reason that we as modern people don't understand these things is because our understanding of the world, of reality, is completely warped. We have no idea. We think we're smart because we're so attached to our mind. We have more powerful minds than ever before. But we are more deeply stooped in ignorance because of this. Because of our pride, because we think we know it all, and because we're so attached to our separate self, we're living in ignorance. Because the truth is, there is only God. And how do we know this? There is a practice called self-inquiry. You can watch my other channel if you want to know more about enlightenment, because this is about reality creation, mastering your life, becoming the most powerful version of you. But self-inquiry is the process of asking yourself, well, who am I? And we think, well, I know who I am, but I promise you it's assumed. We assume who we are. We don't know who we are, because I've never met anyone who knows who they are in real life. And if that's the case, that means that, probability speaking, most people have no idea. So the practice goes like this, or at least one version of it. No matter what you experience, there are always two variables present. There is an object that you experience, and there is you. So basically what this process is, it's just asking yourself, well, what am I not? Because it's easier to figure out what you are not than it is to figure out what you are. So you look at the objects of your experience. And by default, you kind of intuitively realize that you are not that. Because, well, then who is the one observing that object? If I can see it, it is not me. Like I see my hand, I know my hand is not me. Anything that you see with your two eyeballs, or even within your mind, you cannot be that. So think about it. Can you observe your body? You can see your body. Your body is an object of your awareness, your experience. Therefore, fundamentally, you realize, well, I cannot be my body. My body is just a part of me, like my hand. But then you look at your thoughts. Well, can you observe your thoughts? Well, most of us believe that we are the voice inside of our head. But we can perceive that. We can see it. We can see the voice. Therefore, we cannot be the voice inside of our head. So you begin to go through all the things you think you are and ask yourself, well, can I observe this thing? Is this an experience? And if the answer is yes, well, congratulations. One more checklist off the thing. That is not me. Then what am I? And as you exhaust this list, you're forced to recognize that you are the awareness perceiving all experiences. You are the silent witness behind everything that has falsely identified with the objects of its experience. Believing that, oh, I am my body, I am my mind, I am my ego, I am my personality, I am this little human being. And we've lived our whole life assuming this. Now, how does this have anything to do with realizing that you are God? Well, here it is. It's because everything that you observe, everything that is an experience, is changing. That's the nature of experiences. They're always changing. They're arising and then they're going away, like clouds passing through the sky. No matter what it is. Whether you're awake and doing things, it's change. Whether you're dreaming and having dreams, it's change. A hobo's paradise. But what is the one constant from the moment you're born until the moment you die? It has to be you. Because you're there in the waking state. You're there in the dream state. You're there in deep sleep. You're there when you're born, you're there when you die. You are the one constant that does not change ever. And you have to realize this for yourself. Because so long as it's some philosophical idea in your mind, you're just going to go back and be attached to your changing experiences. You'll be like, oh, that's a cool idea. Next. Not ever actually realizing what you are. And the mind has a vested interest for you not to realize what you are. Because the moment you realize your true nature, the mind cannot feed off you anymore. The ego begins to die, and it doesn't want to die. So it actually manipulates you into feeding it again and again and again. and is a force of resistance on your spiritual awakening journey, preventing you from your true power within. And you see, what is unchanging is eternal. And once you come to this recognition, you know that you too are eternal. That what you are does not die because it was never born. It's always been right here. The silent witness behind all changing experiences. Even death is a changing experience. There is no such thing as death. It's a conspiracy. Hello. And how do you know this is true? Well, you can see it with your own two eyes. The only reason we believe in death is because we believe that we are changing. And what is changing is death, because it comes and then it goes. But you do not come and go. You are forever here, beyond death. And think about it. Once you realize this, you cannot be a slave to your survival instincts anymore. Because what is there to fear? You're not identified with your body anymore. The only reason that you can be controlled is if you identify with your body. And then anyone who knows how to manipulate your survival instincts can enslave you. Same thing with the mind. If they can manipulate you and, poke at your desires and the things you want to avoid, the pain, well, then they can control you. But once you are free, you are eternally free. There is no power that has any influence over you. You become sovereign. And this is the king or queen state, which is why I say just be, because it's your default state. When you just be as you are right now, you are living in the God state. But because we have so much attachment, we're immediately getting sent into our mind space thinking about things all the time. Things that are surrounding our personal identity of who we believe we are. So all I got to do to control you is make you believe that you are what you are not. And now you're living in ignorance. Now you're living in the matrix, the illusion. That of which the forces of darkness rule. But you come to the realization that you are the light. And what power does the darkness have in the presence of the light? No power. Which is why you become sovereign. But you must overcome the ignorance in your own self. Because that is the only thing keeping you from your true nature. Your true power. And think about how many people dim their light because of these survival instincts, because they want to fit in, because they don't want to be, they don't want to stand out, because standing out could get you killed. All of these different things that keep us stuck to a life we hate, when at the end of the day, you are the cause of your reality, and there is nothing else that has any say about it. And it's only your certainty and your faith in your own power or in God's power that determines, well, how much you are in control. And funny enough, the more you surrender, the more you're in control. And the more you try to control everything, well, the less power that you have. You are the eternal experiencing itself through the temporary. And this is why someone like Jesus has absolute dominion over the nature of reality. Because it's all the same one thing. It's God in the limitless state experiencing God in limitation. God as the eternal experiencing the temporary. And you can see what is limitless has absolute dominion over what is limited. And Patanjali talked about this in the Yoga Sutras. He said, on your spiritual journey, you might encounter these powers. Be careful. Like the power to walk on water, or make yourself really big or small, or heal people, or do whatever. You will have mastery over the nature of reality. Because this is the true nature of reality. It's just God. But because we don't see that, we experience ourselves in the separate forms trying to figure it all out. And what happens? It's like the mind is a resistance valve to a hose. The more you're attached to your mind stuff, to your earthly existence, the more the light within you becomes contorted and distorted and dimmed. And in surrendering the mind to the present moment, and also realizing your true nature, the floodgates begin to open, and you become an empty vessel for God, in which God can effortlessly flow through you and perform miracles and do whatever. There's really no limitations. And when that happens, we allow the source of harmony itself to influence our lives and deal with all of our problems, because problems exist as a lack of harmony. So when you add harmony into the equation, the problems fix themselves. But what are we doing? We're like, I gotta figure out all my problems. I'm stressed. When you could just surrender it all, not have to think about it twice, and they will all work themselves out perfectly on their own. But that cannot happen so long as you're attached to this animal body, because your animal body is saying, hey, you gotta deal with this or you're gonna die. You don't want to die, do you? So do something about it. That is why we struggle. Not realizing that if you stopped swimming upstream and just went with the flow in the present moment, that things would work out perfectly. And it doesn't mean you just give up all of your dreams and goals and just float on by. It means you're fundamentally rooted in the present moment. And that is the state from which you live your life. And that is the most powerful state because it's the God state. In the present moment is a flow state, and that is a state of no mind, opening up the floodgates, the flow. And you will see with your own experience, you are always at your best when you are in flow. And if you see even further, when you are in flow in the present moment, deeply engaged with what is in front of you, you disappear. Your sense of separation dissolves. And only when you get out of flow, then back into your mind, are you separated from that present moment, flow state. And so it's this process of continuously remembering, continuously awakening to your true nature, surrendering to the present moment, allowing and accepting life to be as it is. Because the more you're attached to your desires and the things you want to avoid, when life isn't going the way you want it to, you're going to resist it and you're going to suffer and you're going to struggle. And if you just realize that life was already taking care of you, life is already working out perfectly, well, then there would be no reason to resist life anymore. But our survival instincts, because they have such a grip over us, they say, no, this is unacceptable. We can't have this. Doesn't mean you can't change your circumstances. It means you're not attached to them. It means you're not a slave to your animal body. Otherwise, it's going to be pulling you all over the place your whole life. The more you're over here, the more you will be a slave and struggle. And the more you're over here, the more you will be free. Because your true nature is already free. The divine in you, that is you, does not concern itself with the experiences of this world. It's a complete passive observer of everything. Like watching a movie unfold. You're just watching it. And there is also the separate you enjoying the movie, experiencing the movie, going up and going down, being sad, being angry, experiencing the drama. And yet there still is the awareness experiencing that. It's just that we identify with the separate form experiencing the drama. So awaken to your true nature. And this is ultimate power and ultimate freedom from everything. The more you're over here, the more it takes a lot of effort to create the life that you want. And the more you're over here, the less effort it takes. Because you allow the source of abundance to flow through you, the source of love, peace, and joy. And the more effortlessly you can allow that flow, the more effortless life, the more effortless life becomes. And I'm living proof of that because I experienced both realms. And even when the instincts come up and give their opinion, I don't listen to it because it's irrelevant. Because I'm always remembering God. I'm always remembering that everything is already okay. It's already perfect. Look at the flowers and the birds. They do not toil. And yet God takes care of them. How much more would God take care of you? And it takes time to build your trust and faith muscles. Because we've been living from survival for so long, we're like a wounded animal sometimes that doesn't trust. It still feels like it needs to bite and bark in order to get what it wants. It has to fight to survive. And unless you train yourself to relax and realize it's all okay, it's all safe, everything is going just fine, relax. No matter what is happening in your life, only then can you truly live your best life. Until then, it's struggle. I am Ray. Find your tribe in the Spiritual Rebels community, where you can join others on the same path as you who are trying to get the goodies of life. Much peace and many blessings. And remember, just be